Boys, ladies, gentlemen, girlies, everyone in the universe, I have seen Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, I've seen this on Monday, but it's taken me some time just to really digest because I really like this movie. Like, an unbelievable amount I like this movie. And yes, call me what you want, another Spider-Man glazer, whatever, because it's true. I've seen a ridiculous amount of Spider-Man media recently. Not just watched for the first time because I'm just rewatching everything. So I've seen all Tobey's movies again. I've seen the Amazing Spider-Man 1. I've seen No Way Home. I've seen all the Spectacular Spider-Man, the first season of Ultimate Spider-Man, and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Now, with that said, all of them are going to get their own separate reviews, which I am recording today, so I most likely will not change outfit. Um, but the main reason I am telling you this is so that you know that I'm not going in blind and just, remembering and then saying if it's better or not better than certain movies. I have rewatched and refreshed my mind on everything, and I will just say before anything that there has genuinely not been one terrible or even bad performance of Spider-Man that I can even find from a live-action movie. All of them have been fantastic. The worst one being No Way Home because half of it just didn't really make sense, but then again, it is one of the most fun Spider-Man movies ever made. Like you cannot have you if you don't have fun watching that movie, no matter how many no matter how many problems it has, you are crazy. It is one of the most fun movies of all time, I really do feel. Just seeing all your favorite Spider-Man swinging together, the goods and the bads. Story may not, work too well, but you have an amazing performance as a Green Goblin, a pretty cool Doctor Octopus and all that. So yeah, very fun. But now, going into Brand New Day. Going into Brand New Day, I was very nervous because my expectations were through the roof. Like by a lot. I was even ask Roxality. My expectations were so goddamn high, like unbelievably high. I was hoping for so much in this movie, yet not even knowing who the main villain was. Like it was unbelievable how much I thought they could do with this movie, and they delivered and they blew my expectations through the roof. Like it was better than I thought it was gonna be, and that's insane because I thought it'd be top three Spider-Man movies. So for me, my top three has basically always been Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, both Toby's, and then the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Those have always been my top three. Now it's different, and by a surprising amount, it's different. Like it's not just it hit like I don't know top five or anything. Not even top three. It's higher, and I'm gonna let you know what it is at the very end of the video. But it is insane how well they did with this movie. From the cinematography, it is by far the best, on par with, see, it's like TASM 2 and this cinematography is like this. TASM 2 was full of incredible, action sequences and everything, but this new movie didn't focus on the action side of things so much, but it was a beautifully written story. I really, really like Jean Grey in this movie. By the way, there is spoilers. I should have probably said that. It's fine, whatever. You're watching a review before you've seen the movie. That's your fault. Um, like Jean Grey in this movie was incredible. I have not seen too much media on Jean Grey, like through X-Men and stuff. I haven't really watched anything, which I will, or read anything, again, which I will. But Jean Grey had a fantastic performance. Obviously, Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, amazing casting, if I'm being honest. Obviously, everyone had the feeling that she was going to be Jean Grey, and she was Jean Grey. That's just that, you know what I mean? But she did a phenomenal job as Jean Grey. I'm very, very surprised I liked her as much as I did. I was hoping they wouldn't go the route of making her the comic book accurate Mary Jane, like it was like a lot of leaks said it would be, because I thought that'd be very dumb. But so I think they did a very good job with that, and just portraying her as someone that you genuinely care about, and like not just like care about by a little, like actually care about. Because with Jean Grey, I think she was written so well. And yeah, I know a lot of people maybe think yeah, it's an alright movie or whatever, but there was there are some things that like after thinking a little bit on, I'm like, okay. Like, I know a lot of people want to see a bit more of Scorpion and a bit more of Tombstone and all the other villains that, we've seen at the very start. But I liked how they kind of breezed past that because they have so many other movies to make Tombstone the big man, and that's kind of what I hope they lean into. Um, uh, the end scene is one of my favorite scenes where the muscle memory with Ned. I thought that was pretty cool, and I like how they didn't confirm if Ned actually like remembers Peter or not, because it could be remembering Peter as in Spider Man, because Mary Jane said, oh, not Mary Jane, sorry, that's the wrong MJ. Michelle Jones said, Peter Peter when Spider Man was about to leave to go go to see Sadie Sink and all that. Um, but I'm pretty sure that he had his memories back. I mean, that's kind of obvious in my opinion, but a lot of people, it's up in the air apparently that I didn't really realize. But you know what I mean. The most heartbreaking scene in this movie. Well, there's two of them. I almost cried at two movies. Two movies. I almost cried at two scenes in this movie. Number one being the "I don't love you" scene. Oh my god, was that just gut punching, heart wrenching, just a horrible thing to hear. Especially because I've rewatched a lot of their movies together, you know, and just seeing them, the relationship blossom and then crumble, and then in the end of No Way Home, she says, "I love you, but don't." And then as Peter goes to say it, she says, "No, tell me when you see me again." And when he does, she says, "I don't love you. I don't even know you," which is the most heartbreaking, depressing thing literally ever. I remember I was just shocked. Also, the evil bitch Jean Grey, when she hypnotized, not hypnotized, she controlled MJ while kissing Peter on the rooftop, and like just led Peter to believe that she remembered just for her not to remember. That was just horrible. That is some next level evil shenanigans. The Punisher and Spider-Man had some of the best, just as a duo, they are just amazing. I didn't think that they'd be that good. I know from like the press and or the press tours and all they were doing, like all the promotion and stuff, they looked really fun together. I know the little clips we've seen, but they were so much better than I thought they'd be. Especially that last scene where Peter goes out the hospital after being shot by Punisher, which I'll get into. That's the second thing that made me almost very cry, but we'll get to that to a second. Um, and he says, because obviously, we're gonna go. Let's go over that first. So while Peter is reasoning with Jean Grey, he lets her into her mind, and she has this beautiful scene with Aunt May, and then after Aunt May goes, obviously this is in Peter's mind. After Aunt May goes, whatever, just kind of disappears, and Peter sits down, and then they have a really heartwarming moment where you know, we see just a beautiful moment and a great connection where Jean Grey says she doesn't have anyone, and Peter says, you have me. And in that moment, I thought it was going to be a moment like, TASM 2, where, you got Andrew Garfield Spider-Man trying to reason with Electro, and then while he's almost there, Electro gets shot, and then he goes ballistic. I thought the exact same thing was going to happen, but instead, Peter kind of like Spider-Man, his spider sense goes off and he jumps in front of the bullet that Punisher shot to kill Jean Grey, and it shoots Spider-Man, and like I thought he was gonna die. Like I genuinely did. I thought he was gonna die. I know a lot of people are saying like, no man, why would he die? It's just a Spider-Man movie. They wouldn't kill Spider-Man off in his own movie, but they really would. They would. And just even to set up the symbiote arc, they really would. Um, and it was just such a intense scene. And then when he's in hospital and everything, and Punisher finally sees Peter without his mask on, they have this really fun moment together. I assume that a bunch of doctors have not seen Peter's face, but again, they might have kept his mask on. We don't know. Um, but as he walks out the hospital, so then there's like a massive crowd of Spider-Man fans, but so he wasn't noticed. Punisher puts on the mask and the gloves and starts like dancing in front of the window, and everyone's like going like, "Hey, look at Spider-Man!" for the window as Peter walks out, and it's such a goofy and lovable and just fun moment that generally had me. In the gap of like 10 seconds, had me crying to have me dying laughing. very, very well done, and I do like it. And I love the big chanting scene, and throughout this movie, we see Peter. The more lonely he gets, and the more less human interaction he gets, and he gets more and more just Spider. Like you see the arachnid DNA slowly building up, so that's why he goes to Bruce Banner. I will say that it kind of feel it kind of feels like the Hulk was unnecessary in this movie, but I would no way in shape like I would no way take him out, because I think it was a very fun scene. But again, I feel like just having Bruce Banner, um, just having him maybe help Peter out would have been enough. But having him have that fight scene was very cool, and I did really like it. But it just seemed like he was just kind of there to be there. But again, that doesn't take away from the scene. It was a very cool action scene. Um, Obviously, it was necessary for Banner to be there because he came up with a little chip, which then sustained the arachnid and the human DNA by altering his DNA. But also, something about that chip when Peter was making it in Punisher's little bit, and like MJ and all were there, and Spider-Man puts it on after him and MJ fix the chip. It was just like a very interesting scene because she was like, the thing you're putting on is this kind of thing you put on monsters, and that there is such a very impactful thing. Like it just like even stunned me. It was like, yeah, you know what I mean? I was just speechless at that part. Not because he was like a huge part or anything, because it's true. You put that on a monster, and we all know Spider-Man isn't a monster. But he started blacking out and, going crazy. And I'm so fucking glad they didn't go with Man Spider. I know, a lot of people wanted to see Man Spider. I really didn't. Like, as cool as it is as a comic and as something for a show, I don't really want to see Man Spider in live action. It's just something that doesn't really interest me. I thought they were gonna do it for the longest time, and I was not gonna be like angry about it. It'd be cool to get it, but overall, I just prefer if they didn't do it, and obviously they didn't do it. So very, very grateful for that. Yes, Detective Jean DeWolf was such a amazing character. She gave me the what's the name from the Spider-Man PS4 games? Uh, Gonna have to Google that too. Yuri. She gave me such Yuri energy, and I really like the character. She is probably one of my favorite characters that were introduced into this movie. Just such a fun character, and like having kids as well. And like she's like, I don't know anything. She's talking to Spider Man. She's like, I don't know anything about you, whatever. And then Spider Man's like, yeah, whatever. And something about there's on about the kid's name and Spider Man not knowing the kid's name. But at the end of the movie, he says, "Say hi to," and he says the kid's name. I don't remember their names, but he said it was a very full. A very cool, fun go around moment, and as a character, she's very good. She was like I feel like she's not the replacement Aunt May or anything like that, but she was kind of that like structural pillar that Aunt May was. You know what I mean? Where she reminds Peter, after he gets shot, or whatever, just take some time off. We got this, or like, when Peter goes crazy, I'm pretty sure at Scorpion. But when Jean Grey was controlling Scorpion, and he like blacks out and goes absolutely psycho nutso mode on him, and he slams Scorpion into the car like we see in the trailer. So if you can hear any background noise, it's very loud. Um, in that moment, she was kind of like you almost killed a cop. You need to whatever you're doing, whatever's going on with you, you need to sort it out. And it was just like a very grounded, kind of like a mothery, looking over type. And I really did like that for her character. And I hope we see her and Spider-Man have so much more time together because they are really fun together. And also they are such a good duo. But I'd like to see them on screen more. Maybe having like a story where it's her and Spider-Man through a lot of it would be really cool. I like they didn't just half-ass the suit and just kind of not have him in it a lot or having another suit because Tom Holland kind of changes suits like 90% of the time. Very happy that he actually stuck with this suit through the entire movie, and I loved how much we seen him in this suit. And I also loved how having the lenses also affected the chip and everything like that. It was just such a cool thing. And I was just a very big fan of how they did it. I also love the design of the web shooters, and I like how even though he has organic webs, he's trying to, push them down and sustain them. But it also makes me feel like it makes me think a little bit of maybe the Toby Spider Man is way more arachnid than either Tom or Andrews, which is very interesting. Like he must have had like more powerful bite or something. I don't know, but yeah, no, very good movie. Apart from the Hulk bit, kind of feeling a bit unnecessary, but at the same time, I feel like it's setting up something new for the Hulk. Maybe a brand new Hulk movie, which is so needed at this point. Give us another Hulk movie, man. But give it good writing and good everything. The action sequences were amazing in this movie. I really did like them. I like how we didn't need this massive battle at the very end. It was more of a just amazingly written story and probably one of the best Spider-Man stories we've ever had. Like if you look at Andrew's movies, the writing is it. I won't lie, you cannot tell me the writing isn't good. Okay, I don't understand why the writing people think the writing isn't good in Andrew's movies, because you have, especially 2001, when I watched it last night, there was nothing, and I thought that the pacing wasn't off, or that was kind of unneeded, and everything kind of matched up really well. So I don't really get that part of it. But I feel like he definitely had maybe a slightly weaker written story than the rest of them, but I still thought he was great. But Andrew's movies were stronger on cinematography, and I think that Toby's movies were stronger on the writing. Apart from Spider-Man 2, which had an amazing cinematography, apart from maybe one or two bits. But Toby's was better writing, Andrew's was better cinematography, and Tom is a mix of both, especially in this new movie. I think that it was fantastic. I really think that Tom, and I can't stress this enough, for the longest time, my list has always been switching between either Tom or Andrew. Just keep on switching between 3 and 2, and then Toby at the beginning. After watching all of their movies, apart from Taz and 2, which I'm watching tonight, I strongly believe they are all genuinely on the. It goes. There's only one or two. There is no three place. Space number 2 goes to Tom, not Tom, goes to Toby and Andrew. They are joint at number 2 because they are equally amazing in their own way. But number 1, without a doubt, goes to Tom. Tom is such an amazing Spider-Man, and he generally just feels like the perfect embodiment of Spider-Man, especially this new movie. I know a lot of people complain about how they did it. There was no Uncle Ben, there was no origin story. It took 3 movies to get to that. Great power comes great responsibility. But this is the thing. They are giving you, right? They are giving you a very long and slow interpretation of the story that isn't just basic and is something new. He's had mentor after mentor after mentor. He had Tony Stark. He had fake scroll bitch in Far From Home. He had Aunt May in No Way Home, plus the 2 other Spider-Man. Yes, he was mentored enough, but that is the origin story. That is like the equivalent of having Ben Parker, obviously Uncle Ben, in the first movie. His 3 movies was his origin story, and they are taking their time with it, and I do like it, because if we're having another trilogy like it seems they're trying to set up, I'd much rather having another trilogy than just having the same old story written again. I think that everything that they've done with Tom's Spider-Man is very, very cool. And if you wanted a more comic accurate one that's kind of like Tom's but not really, you have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which I will say it is not a alternate version of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. It is not. They have barely any similarities. They have, a younger Aunt May, a couple scenes are like scene for scene, but then again, so was his new movie with other Spider-Man movies and other Spider-Man media. It's just got taken inspiration. The characters are different. Everything is different. Instead of Ned and MJ, there's the completely different characters. So yes, I do not think it is just a complete other version and an alternate timeline. It is a completely different version with just some similarities. Anyway, On how much I enjoyed Spider-Man Brand New Day, I'm giving it a 100%. And my rating for Spider-Man Brand New Day is 99. Do I give it 100? Do I give it 100? Do I give it 100? See, here's my thing. Spider-Man 2 for me is 100%. Okay, I'm just gonna give it the 100. I think it is a 10 out of 10. I think I'm gonna give it. Do I do it? I'm gonna give it the 99. Okay, I'm gonna give it the 99. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you did enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.